Thank you for coming for this session and also SDC 2018. Are you guys enjoying the show, the event? Yeah. Cool. This sounds great. And this session attendees is so way more than my expectation. So I'm really nervous. I thought about just the 10 people, but now we have more than so. I will talk about the gaming, and I'm Jungwoo Kim. I'm working in Samsung Mobile 17 years and also work in various areas, but recently I'm focusing on the GPU and also game dev support. The topics we will cover during this session is from some introduction about our philosophy and also recap about the former years and some key updates, and also our partner games and what the game dev is. So, introduction, I will talk about a little bit about what is our philosophy for this action we are now making. We are phone maker. We make an end user product. We are not software solution provider, or we are not game developer. And our desire is to deliver really great experiences, not only the device. There's many kind of the user experiences you can do in your hands with the phone. There's browsing, multimedia camera, and also payment. But we will focus on, during this session, about only gaming experiences. So one of the most hard to achieve experiences in mobile. Because in mobile, there's many kind of restriction and limitation. Firstly, that is coming from the form factor. It's so small in your smartphone, but your PC or console is much more bigger than, and that can bring more power and more energy and more performance. And considering the chipset performance-wise also, you can see how the smartphone AP chipset is smaller than in any other desktop PC, CPU, and GPU. And even in consider the peak performance, we are now really chasing the peak performance is better and better by year. And now we reach it to the PlayStation 3, the former generation console. And now we are now trying to chasing also the current generation console. But that is just peak performance in considering the sustainable performance. Within that kind of limitation, the battery and current and also form factor, that is quite lower than the peak performance, what we can sustainably guarantee for processing the game processing. So the optimization is really important in mobile because of that kind of limitation. And not just shrinking down the quality, but also keeping that quality level higher and also guarantee a good performance. New technology is really important. So we are now trying to bring like Vulkan, a 64-bit, and also multi-core and multi-threading model, those kind of new technology, bring into the mobile area as soon as possible. That is really important. And we are now trying to do by one of the players in the mobile industry. So what Samsung did for helping game developer to use that kind of the new technology more easier and earlier, with that solution is the Galaxy GameDev, the game developer support program. So boring introduction is done. So we already announcing that the game dev program to the public. And we're focusing really on Vulkan. So Vulkan is a new generation graphics API announced in 2016, February 16. And also, right after that, 7 days from the publishing from Cronus, Samsung announcing Galaxy S7 with the Android Vulkan phone in the market. And we really hard effort to bring that Vulkan into the game developer. We first start to do the standardization in the Cronus we helping each other with the other companies, and also we finally just within a year and a half, successfully publishing the Vulkan 1.0 to the public. And also we preparing the driver for GPU and shader compiler right on time, reaching out to the user. We made really hard effort with the game GPU vendor like ARM and Qualcomm. We also work with the Epic Games like game engine company to help developer can easily use that benefit of the Vulkan, whatever they have no idea even with the Vulkan, what is the Vulkan or something, but they also can use that the game engine can support Vulkan and get all benefit to develop their gameplay. And also we work with the Epic Games to making cool demo protostar, and myself and also the Smetis. Now he is not in the Epic Games, but anyway. So we did a really great job for the S7 Unpack on-stage hands-on demo. And we finally, 2016 SDC announcing the Galaxy GameDev, the Game Developer Support Program. We also do the demo for the UI and VR based on Vulkan acceleration. We also delivering some other side of the gaming experiences, not gameplay experiences, but also one of the important gaming experiences related to how the game content exposed and reach to the user. We announced in the game tuner, game launcher, and also game tools. Those three products is also one of the biggest important product is now Samsung considering. We also do the device side optimization. We call it the game optimization services. So the GOS is now the back end in managing the resource in real time and dynamically adjusting how the device support the game content playing well on a device. That is based on the AI and also machine learning. We're going to keep going with the device side optimization too. But in the case of the game itself is not well optimized, then the device side optimization cannot resolve all the issues by itself. So fundamentally, game should be developed well. So we decided to support the game developer to optimize their market contents. And we also knew about the tool for supporting Vulkan and GLES in mobile is not good. So we decided contributing on the RenderDoc to support Android. Now RenderDoc is supporting Android with both API, GLES, and Vulkan. Also, we think this Vulkan is not just for flagship, but also the mass and mainstream product, because low spec devices get more benefit with Vulkan, because Vulkan is do more efficiently. So if that resource is narrowed down, restricted, then the benefit will be better than. So we are now trying to increase more number of the Vulkan devices from the flagship to the mainstream. We also do the campaign with the other companies like Google Play. It was the High Fidelity Android game campaign. We worked tightly with the Google Play and other game developer to delivering really great content with a great performance to the market. The first title was the Lineage2 Revolution. It's three-way collaborating with Netmarble, Google Play, and Samsung. We also contributing on many kind of developer community event, like GDC, SCC, E3, and also SATEC, GCon, Cronus Debut, so on. So there's many kind of, there's more than 20 events. And at there we did more than 25 sessions. This is something we are trying to sharing all kind of thing we run from collaborating with our partners to the public developer. So we did many things during the recent 2 years, from 2016 to 2017. And most of the things we've done is focusing on the Vulkan. But now we try to expanding more wide coverage. So I want to share some update about that coverage of area. So in considering the game optimization, there are some two kind of approach. One is what I've said before, the device side optimization. The content is still there, but how devices will manage that performance or power and so on to support that gameplay well. And the other side of the optimization is the game side optimization. That is optimizing the contents, optimizing the renderer, and optimizing that the power and also some content-wise adjustment if that is required. So we are now trying to focusing on this session because this is a game developer and also the other developer conference. So we will focusing on the game side optimization more. In considering that game side optimization, there's four key areas we think. The one is GPU driver. How GPU driver is stable and also good performing. And the game engine, how the game engine is well set and ready and stable. And also tools and SDK. Once the developer really want to optimize their game, then how much the tool set and tooling and environment is support them to know how they optimize the game to right direction. And the game itself, so that is related with all kind of the development processes in the gaming development side. Let's think about one by one. GPU driver is the first one. So the top developer demand about the mobile GPU driver, especially a certain GPU vendor. That is the quality and performance. In considering the performance, most of people is now asking about please optimize your driver better. So we are really do the hard effort to do that, but maybe you cannot notice that. In example, in this year, the March time, we announcing S9 and also launching that into the market. Some of you are now using that device. And at that moment of the March time Mali driver, in the heavy GPU scene of the Fortnite one single frame, the worst case that is taking 29 milliseconds for one GPU frame time. But after that, we optimizing collaborating with our Mali team, and we keep continuously reducing the cycle of that. And now November time, it turned into the 22 milliseconds, almost the 30% reduction is now happening. That is not mean the overall performance also 30% improved. The overall average improvement is happen on 5%. But this is on the same device with just a driver optimization. So this optimized GPU driver will be delivered to the old S9 with Android P upgrade. And also Note 9 will have the same driver. Those kind of optimization is now happening, and our team is now working with Mali Norway office, Trondheim. We are now spending a 3-month camp. That kind of effort is now heavily happening, so maybe things will be getting better. Even we made some good optimization, but if we have no good way to update the driver to the end user devices, that should be really, really critical. So we are working hard working tightly with Google to delivering better way. So our device already have that framework. So Google Play, the installation of that, the APK type of the driver is now can be update your phone device GPU driver. But the QA cost and also logistics to managing the validation is really hard. We didn't make that happen. Even their framework is there, but we are not using that yet. So we are now trying to make the better way to manage that as soon as possible with the multiple companies like Google and also the GPU vendor. But before that, I really happily announcing we will open in GPU driver beta program to the interesting developer. That will be announcing soon with our website, the samsungdeveloper.com/game is you can get the news of that in there. So the second part is game engine. So you guys all know about, well, Samsung and Epic has a good relationship. So we did many things, and also they unpacked in S7, we showed the prototype, and also we recently on Note 9, we had some collaborating for the Fortnite. But I want to announcing, we also do more better collaboration start with the Unity. So Unity is a little bit different with the Epic Game collaboration. The Epic Game is more focusing on some certain title, but in the case of Unity, there's so many huge, wide the developer community. So with that perspective, we think that Unity collaboration is really important. And also, that is also a good way to bring new technology, accelerating the adoption of those technology into the users, and help developer can use the new technology without any of the overhead. About the more thing about the Unity, and also the Android support, the flood plan of the Unity engine will be covered by the Unity speaker, Nicholas Medebug, right after this session, the 4:30 p.m. start in this room. The third thing is about the tool, like tool and SDK. That maybe some of you guys already seen that in our booth, the GPU Watch, the new tool we're announcing during this SEC. So this is a performance monitoring tool, and then you can easily see all kind of the performance statistic and index with that just toggling on your developer option in the setting. You don't have to install anything on your host PC. There's no cable connection required, no registration, no rooted device. So this tool is on device, and you can take a really quick look on profiling anything on your device with your game. About this tool also at the same session, I said before, right after this, on the same room at 4:30 p.m., my colleague Hyung Lee will take the tutorial during that time. I want to say a little bit about the governor in mobile. Maybe you are not so familiar with what is the governor. So the governor is the policy of the control the resources, because the mobile device has restriction, and also there's a small battery. So whenever you can see how much energy you can use on your phone is not the full peak performance always, but it depends on the workload pattern. So the work is required, then the frequency is going up scalable. So in considering UI rendering, so most of cases UI rendering workload is something like this. When the touch event happens, then workload is going high, and then animation is happen, and animation is gone, then the workload is gone also. This is the usual UI rendering overhead. Based on that, the traditional governor is work like this, because the governor is react from the current workload pattern and predict that next workload pattern. Because of that, there's some latency happen. So in this case, the rate responding is making some frame drop. So usually we do the touch booster. So whenever that event happens, then we just put up the frequency earlier then performance is really good, and people cannot notice that performance drop by rate response. Let's considering about this governor work in the gaming workload pattern is more complicated than the UI rendering. So it's iterating with the up and down. So with the traditional governor work with this, like this, the frequency is going up because that the workload is high, but suddenly the workload is gone, but the frequency is already in high. And then workload is low, then the frequency is now trying to going down, but suddenly the workload pattern is also going high again. That kind of thing is iterated between a 33 or 60 millisecond interval. So what happened is the rate response for every frame causing the performance drop. And also the rate response after that overreact. Not necessarily high frequency is happening. That making heat up, the unnecessary power consumption is happening. So this is really vicious cycle. And then performance throttling is now happening. So this is not exactly what you want and how we can deal with this. Maybe you can consider that a more complicated, intelligent way, but that's more simple and smart way. You just know because you are a game developer, and you just median frequency you need, and keep stay that frequency everlasting. Then the rate response happen, but is it less than before? And also overreact is not that much big. It's really ridiculous thing because the more intelligent thing is worse than a dummy thing. And also even this situation is much better than because the Vulkan and also 64-bit is help CPU requirement and overhead less than. So with the dummy things, but if you can know what is the game's requirement, exact requirement of the median frequency, then everything will be resolving really simply. And considering the thermal throttling in gaming, this is the frequency by governor, and the temperature is going high. Because the first time there's no throttling happen, then high frequency is allowed. Unnecessary high frequency is used, and then the temperature is going high really quickly. So the start with the 60 frames per second, but the throttling happen then is end with the 40 frames per second. So average is 50 frames per second. It's not that much a big benefit with the start with the high frequency. If we can just consider, if I'm a game developer and just I see that frequency is really workable with the 50 frames per second steady, then I just keep that frequency. Then temperature is slowly increasing, but I can keeping that 50 steady frames per second everlasting. So we are now trying to deliver this type of the control is possible API to the game developer with the game SDK soon. We are now building up that game SDK for public. It's not public published yet, but yes, we are now working on that. And we are now trying to deliver that in almost the right timing of the Android P updating with most of our devices. So with this API, you can manage your game more better, more simpler, and more predictable work with any Galaxy devices. So this is key update, and the fourth area is the game itself. Let's take a look at the video. Sorry about that. 5 minutes.
Going on ahead!
Thanks. good day.
So, thank you, Jungwoo. We have a long list of games developers here on this slide. A bunch of partners that we've worked with where the relationships are public at this stage. Obviously, we have many other games and developers that we're working with which have not yet come to fruition. You know, we're working through 2018 and 19 on more titles. So this is a long list of partners. Let me introduce myself. I'm Richard Huddy. I work in Samsung Research UK. I'm in Jungwoo's team, supporting games developers, and my responsibility is to the ecosystem, so making sure that games developers get the best support that they possibly can for the games that they want to implement. And as you can see from many of the trailers there, we're expecting a pretty high standard. And it's been a busy last couple of years for Samsung, trying to bring the situation forwards from when there was no Vulkan. There was an OpenGLES driver, which is relatively rudimentary compared to the kind of situation we have these days, where we expect Vulkan implementations to be of a high quality. We started back in 2016 working with Epic. We remain in an excellent partnership with them. This is the first demo that we produced, and it's essentially a prototype for us of developing with Vulkan. And it demonstrates the clear advantages to the use of that API. Through 2017, we took Vulkan into Lineage Revolution. The RHI, the rendering hardware interface, is something that we built a custom UE4 interface for. Now, that's a lot of work. If you're a games developer that is using one of the standard engines and you want something which is highly optimized, you think you might want to come to us in the right circumstances, we will do a great deal of that work for you. And the benefits are clear as well. Something like a 15% average frame rate, that's a big jump up in frame rate there. So Vulkan is a win over OpenGLES, and that's our expectation going forward too. We're working right now on PUBG, one of the world's most popular games. We've already got something like a 30% improvement in the frame rate, and the frames are more stable. The frame rate is more stable, so you have a significantly improved experience. And this is a big investment from Samsung. We have a lot of engineers involved in this, trying to create the best experience that you can possibly have on a mobile device. Final Fantasy Pocket Edition, again, a custom Unity engine, so they're Unity licensees, and we've worked with them to ensure that the Vulkan implementation is about as good as it could be. Includes things like the post-processing shader optimization. A lot of work with these folks to make sure that it's a high-throughput engine and minimal battery use. We spent 4 camps out on Final Fantasy Pocket Edition, working in Okinawa with Square Enix. Average of 10 frames a second improvement, and in some cases doubling the frame rate. And that's where you feel it most, where the frame rate is lowest, where the driver and the operating system are all struggling with the load most. If we're able to double that frame rate, it's a really big benefit in user experience. I assume that you're all aware that we partnered with Epic for Fortnite. The release back in August of the Note 9 was a great success for us. And again, very much dependent on the work we've done with Vulkan. That doesn't mean we wouldn't work with you on other APIs, but Vulkan tends to be the big winner, something like a 20% improvement in frame rate there. And there is an excellent talk coming tomorrow, 12:30, with Sangmin Lee on the Samsung side and Jack Porter from Epic. Strongly recommend you go along to that. Black Desert Mobile, we've worked on. This is an interesting one because actually, like Fortnite, I've sent engineers from Europe. We have a diverse team that travels around to different locations. So we've helped out with this one. But we have a fairly substantial team supporting all of these games. This is a game that you might not know if you're North American or European, but it's very, very big in Asia. And the Vulkan build is just about ready for release now. 100 Soul, another big one with a 20% improvement from using Vulkan instead of GLES. But we understand that programming in Vulkan is not something that every programmer wants to do. That's why we work with the engine's developers primarily. And if you need the help from us, we will carry you across the finishing line with that. And as that process goes on, we build up great relationship with games developers. So one of the things that I'm personally very proud of is the relationship that we have with the guys who are doing Rome Total War. This is developed by Feral. They've been tremendously helpful with us, both in working on Vulkan, improving our implementation, working with the actual definition of Vulkan and making sure that it goes forward in the right kind of way to exploit the platform well. And they announced today that Rome Total War, the full-fat PC version without anything cut out, is coming to Android. It's a lovely experience. I've got a quick video of it that I'd share with you just for a few seconds. But I have to say, I love the game. I played the original PC game for probably more than 100 hours, and my sons adore it. So they're going to be really excited to see this on Daddy's phone. We didn't get the video onto the next slide? OK, we didn't get the video of that.
You can see it on the booth.
See it on the booth. It's beautiful. And we have video which is demo video as well. So you can actually see the game being played. It's been captured on the device, and it's really beautiful. So there's a list of titles here where we have public knowledge of what we've done from the very first Epic engagement to the more recent work with Epic on Fortnite. You can see big developers like Tencent, one of the largest games developers and publishers in the world. We've done some extraordinary work with them, not just working on individual titles like PUBG, but actually getting involved in helping train their engineers on Vulkan. So if you are a games developer and you're looking to do the best and to be the best, you've probably come to the right place to have a conversation with us. It's definitely something you should be involved in. It's an impressive list of titles that we've worked on for a team that's really only been around for 2 years. The team, the game dev team, is located 5 locations in the world. There are about 30 engineers at the moment. It's a growing team, pretty young team, with lots of direct involvement in games development these days. My location is in the UK, in Samsung Research in the UK. There's an office out here in Mountain View, in Kiev, in Nanjing in China, and just outside Seoul in Korea as well. We have about 30 staff, and Jungwoo tells me we have an unlimited travel budget. So if you need us to come out and help you, we'd be happy to do so. It is what you said, isn't it, Jungwoo?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Some photos of the team out spending that travel budget, visiting with games developers. It's a really good spirit in the team, I have to say. I've been in games development support for about 20 years now, and this is one of the best teams I've seen in operation. It's lovely, energetic, enthusiastic, very communicative, great bunch of guys to work with, very enthusiastic about what can be done and very committed to doing the best for you. How we do the work comes down to these 5 steps, I guess, basically. Engine optimization, including building an optimized engine for you if necessary. As I mentioned, we've dropped in custom UE4 and custom Unity engines. We can supply you with loaner devices if you need an S8 because you hear about a compatibility problem, but you can't find an S8 easily. Talk to us and we can supply you with that kind of thing. We can lend it to your QA department as well. We will do profiling for you. We have access to some very sophisticated tools, some of the best tools in the market because we're very close to ARM and Qualcomm, our primary GPU partners. So we have access to their tools and we can give you feedback which you may find very hard to gather yourself. We can come and do remote work or on-site work with you if necessary. So we get very close. The engineers are very connected with games development. There's no problem with calling on us in the right kind of cases. And developer education, as I mentioned, we've got an ability to share our knowledge of how Vulkan works, what the best practices are, and we'll enthusiastically bring that to you. So I recommend to you, as something you should do if you're not already in contact with Samsung's developer group, just send an email to gamedev@samsung.com. It's an easy way to get in touch with us. You should get a mail back within a day or maybe 2 at the most. And if you don't, mail me, r.huddy@samsung.com, and complain to me, and I will fix it. And if I don't fix it, find Jungwoo's email address and mail him. And it will make your experience better. It's a really great team to work with. I strongly recommend it. And then we're just about at the end now, so recommendation for the courses that you should see. Come up to the booth, please, chat to the guys there, talk about game optimization, talk about how we can help you to to integrate with the services at Samsung, how you can get into Game Launcher and Galaxy apps, things like that. Come to the Code Lab. We have one on Vulkan optimization, another one on GPU Watch. There are a bunch of different courses there for a whole diverse audience. And these two sessions, one straight after, the Tool and SDK session at 4:30 in this room. So I'll have to get off the stage sometime soon. And Fortnite, the one I recommended earlier on with Jack Porter and Sangmin Lee, that will be a great, great opportunity to learn from the folks who have really been through this firsthand. So I think at that point...
So for the booth, you can have Galaxy GameDev socks.
That's right. We're trying to give away as many socks as possible. So if there are any three-legged or four-legged people here, claim the extra pair, take advantage of the opportunity, or if maybe you need a pair of socks for... And
also about at the Code Lab,
we give away socks at the Code Lab as well?
No, USB.
USB sticks?
32 gigabyte USB. Really cool and great design.
With a nice Samsung logo on?
Oh, there's a GameDev with Vulkan logos.
Good stuff, good stuff. So yeah, nice freebies. Lots of little attempts for us to motivate you to contact us. Please talk to us, yeah? We can solve quite a lot of problems. We have a lot of expertise, a lot of experience. So reach out to GameDev. Do we have any questions? If you don't ask questions, I may start asking them myself.
The no question session is really great one.
I'm not actually sure how to frame this, but that doesn't stop me from trying. What is your relationship with Google? And the reason I ask is that, oh shit.
I got this thing on my phone. Okay, the reason I ask is that I'm doing work in the VR, AR game space, and for example, a place called Dream World just announced we're going to be completely compatible with the following Samsung phones, bing, 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 bing. We're soon going to be compatible with Huawei, and no mention of the freaking Google Pixel, you know, which I thought was a pretty decent phone. And that yet, I was going to ask if you could call up that slide that was in the middle of the first presentation that talked about, oh, by the way, here are the people from Unity and Google and so forth that we're working with, because I'm trying to understand the ecosystem of how Samsung is working with these guys as collaborators or competitors, or what's going on? Bad question, but I'm asking it anyway.
So, we are all good friends. Personally, yes. I have a really good, we have a really good relationship with each of the engineers and managers in Google. And also we have great partners as a business side too. But anyway, the company policy could have some confliction. That is, it cannot be handled by myself. So, in a gaming perspective, and also there's some, we are technically and engineering perspective really well aligned with, and also preparing some good announcement as soon as possible, but it not happen really quickly because Google is something like that company. They take really long time to make decision and move forward. It's little different with our time scale. So sometimes we do more in advance. We do more quicker in our private in APIs. Then they follow after that. That kind of thing is always happen. Sometimes they also drive with a good direction. That is also give a good influence on overall ecosystem. That is good. So it's just a different company and different people, but we are all aiming to bring a better game developer support. That is true.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you couldn't be as successful as Samsung is in this kind of business without a really positive relationship with Google. There's a lot of cooperation at all sorts of levels. Just couldn't work otherwise. Any further questions?
Because that session was really so perfect, so there's no question.
In that case, make sure you fill out the imaginary feedback forms and give us 5 out of 5 for everything. Perfect. All right, well, in that case, thank you very much for your attention, and please pay attention to the next sessions.